After sweeping 6 Tony Awards, the Korean-made musical Maybe Happy Ending has proven that when it comes to cultural content or entertainment, Korea knows no limits. Today, we want to take a deeper look at the recent achievement on Broadway, as well as the further potential of K-musicals. And for that, we're joined by our culture critic, Professor Chie Hye-won at Kyung Hee University. Welcome, Professor Chie.
Hello, Professor.
Hello, good afternoon.
So last time, we did mention about Maybe Happy Ending and the Tony Awards. We were able to touch upon it a little bit, but this actually deserves a deeper analysis, a deeper talk, and that's why actually Walter and I have a dress code today, Oliver and Claire. So Professor Chie, let's start with the response, the domestic and the overseas response.
Yeah, everybody says it's a huge achievement indeed. So because it is the very first Tony Awards for the original K-musical, which was developed and world premiered in South Korea. And actually it was the very first Korean musical which was produced on Broadway. And for the Park Chun-hyu, Hugh Park is the first the Korean musical creator who won the major theater awards, including Tony Awards and the Drama Desk Awards. So maybe Happy Ending is relatively smaller shows for the other Broadway musicals, like because it is only 4 cast members and it is actually original musical, not based on any novels or any animations or films or anything. So that's the very special points for this show, winning awards without any well-known original work or like a star creator or big-name actress is what makes Maybe Happy Ending even more special on Broadway. Also, the Korean theater community and all the cultural community actually has been celebrating Maybe Happy Ending's achievement and is trying to make more seriously discuss the advancement of Korean musicals into overseas market. And for me personally, I'm very excited as well because as my Broadway colleagues or the Korean theater colleagues are actually they are trying to bring more K-musicals into the New York theater market. So I'm very excited to see more K-musicals on Broadway.
I was going to say, Professor Chie, I could feel your excitement by this huge achievement. Now, we had our attention on this ever since the debut on Broadway, and you, Professor Chie, ever since the release in Korea, of course. But really, what was the compelling factors that led to this global acknowledgement?
As you say, it mentions like earlier, like the themes are very universal because they may be happy ending. Actually, it's a story about helpabot, so who helped the people but have been left behind by new versions. So it is similar to like how we replace our mobile phones, like with the new models, or it is also a story about ourselves because like being left out in a rapidly changing society. So the theme is certainly universal. So, and the musical was created through a long-term collaborations between a Korean playwright, Hugh Park, and who living in the States, and the American composer, Will Aronson. Actually, they work very, very close together. So I think it was able to succeed on Broadway after its premiere in Korea because the two creators are very familiar with the Western culture and the audiences, so they already know how to appeal to the audiences. And their strategic partnership, they actually work together very closely, step by step. So it's not like I'm book writer, I'm composer. They just work together. So that's why they got the Tony Awards together for the best book and for the original score as well.
Wow, great synergy that we saw there.
Let's stick to that word original, Professor, because you did say that Maybe Happy Ending was original, right? It didn't take from any sources. It was the original source from itself, okay? So obviously the Korean version was the very first version. But when it moved to Broadway, there were changes within the Broadway musical. Can you tell us about some of the changes in the Broadway musical?
Yeah, they changed it a little bit because the Broadway production is a new one because as the basic storytelling is the same for the same as the Korean production, but with the new direction and a design. So to fit into the Broadway markets, the cast was expanded to 4, and the changes were made to the stage design, including the massive use of projection images. There were also some changes to the numbers as well, with several ballad songs were removed and new songs added. So, and the arrangement was strengthened with more like jazzier feel. So they made changes. We just call it like localization to more fit into the Broadway market.
And sticking to that, Professor Chie, what are the important factors to look at so that you can resonate with the global audience? And how did maybe Happy Ending succeed with this?
I think the most important thing to appeal to the international audience is understanding their culture and their emotions first. So the theater is a live entertainment based on interacting with the live audiences. So it is important to understand that their tastes or preference of the audiences from other cultures or other countries when creating or developing a work. So I believe rather than producing a work tailored to the taste of Korean audiences first and exporting it overseas markets afterwards, it is better to create a work targeting larger markets from the beginning in the first place.
I see. And apart from maybe Happy Ending, as Korean musicals are growing and more interested on the international stage, which productions are currently running overseas, like on Broadway, or which Korean actors are sort of, let's say, active abroad in the musical stage?
Unfortunately, there is not any other shows currently running because they run like a short period of time and they close and they just start the period of running again. But another original musical, Fan Letter, has gained a significant international acclaim, winning multiple awards, including in China and Japan. So the musical is set in 1930s and a time of Japanese colonial rules. So the story revolves around the young writers during the turbulent period of history. So, and some others, such as Marie Curie and Red Book and Swag Age, shout out Joseon, keep trying to branching out into the major theatrical market, including West End and Broadway. Also, recently, the performance of several Korean American actors have been notable. Earlier this year, Claire Kwon debuted as Claire in Maybe Happy Ending, and Timothy Lee, Korean name is Lee Hae-chan, played Orpheus in the national tour of Hadestown. So in addition, many other Korean actors and creators are challenging themselves in overseas market as well.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So to go back to what you said, unfortunately, most Korean musicals, they shut in a very short time. So what do you think is the main thing that Korean original musicals should do to reach higher in the global market from here on?
I think it's a partnership. So I think one of the most important thing is getting close partnership with the international producers and creators and all kinds of agencies. As I mentioned earlier, the theater is fundamentally local experience. So therefore, localization is very, very important, and close partnership and collaboration with a local partner is essential for this. So however, it is not easy for the Korean producers or creators to develop a local partnership. So I think future government supports needs to focus on building like a foundation for a cooperative system that can lead to localization rather than simply supporting each work on a certain basis.
Right.
And finally, Professor Chie, do you believe that K-musicals could become a Hallyu genre of its own?
Of course I do, of course. So I believe the potential of a Korean creator is unlimited. However, just like K-pops or K-movies and K-dramas, in order for the K-musicals to target international market, it has been necessary to build a more solid industrial foundation from initial stage of creation, production, and distribution as well, considering the global theater industry and the audiences. So not targeting Korean first and the global market afterwards. They have to focus on the global market in the first place, I think.
All right, let's hope that this advice will be taken. And thank you very much for your insights, Professor Chie, and have a happy rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Walter, have a happy rest of the day, and we're going to see you back here tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
The New York Times released an article over the weekend titled How South Korea Became a Cultural Powerhouse and What's Next, and subtitled With BTS Poised to Reunite, Squid Game Returning, and a Broadway show winning awards, the one just we talked about, the Korean cultural wave keeps on rolling. Now we're going to keep on rolling on the cultural wave tomorrow, Tuesday, so join us at 2 p.m. Korea time.